and I just don't want to be the guy who jumps on board because 2 singles were really good. I needed to just hit it all, baby. I needed it all. Hello, friends and fam. Are you guys ready for a story today? A couple weeks ago, I had the great idea to sit down and listen to Ronnie Radke's entire discography in one sitting. I did record my experience, but in the middle of my editing, which the video was already like 15 minutes long, I decided I should just do a summary of the whole thing and tell you guys pretty much what I experienced. And you would have thrown up at the amount of times you heard like genre bending and they're so diverse. Like you would have just puked because I said it a million times. So a little bit of background, I literally still to this day give so much credit to the album Dying Is Your Latest Fashion. And the credit I give is one of those gateway albums for me into metal and metalcore, into the metal scene. It was super impactful on my youth. Escape the Fate literally had the key to unlocking my emo and scene phase, and they didn't even ask before they just kicked the door in and unlocked it, I guess. I still have a physical copy of that CD somewhere. I hold it very near and dear, that's for sure. Fast forward to all that stuff with Ronnie in prison and Falling in Reverse and Escape the Fate. I was already kind of like over it, you know what I mean? I was trying to be like super hard and hardcore and all that stuff, and I was trying to just leave that scene behind me in just in a metal snob kind of way. Except for that riff for The Drug in Me Is You, the song, that freaking riff slaps still to this day. Long backstory short, in my suggested on YouTube was a clip for a song called Losing My Life. And just in the thumbnail was an up-close picture of Ronnie, and literally in my mind was like, dude, he's kind of ripped and he looks pretty cool and all this stuff, and whatever reason I clicked on the video. He was rapping, he was angry, he sounded good, he looked healthy. I was like so confused, I was like, what happened? This song is decent. Fast forward to the release of Drugs and then Popular Monster. That was the tipping point for me. I knew something was up. These guys were up to something big. These guys just like came out of nowhere with some crazy music, and I needed to know more, man. I needed answers. They're doing some stuff that's gonna pave a lot of music and pave a lot of paths for a lot of people and genres looking forward. Again, they're doing it again. Okay, you're over it. You're over it. You've had enough backstory. I had the great idea to literally sit down after work one day, put my headphones on, and listen to Ronnie Radke's entire discography start to finish with no breaks. I owe it to the band, I owe it to myself, I owe it to music, and I just don't want to be the guy who jumps on board because 2 singles were really good. I needed to just hit it all, baby. I needed it all. So literally 6 hours of listening and jotting down notes and listening some more and jotting down more notes. I'm gonna tell you guys exactly what happened to me and what I experienced and my thoughts and opinions throughout. Let's go! 2006, first EP, There's No Sympathy for the Dead. I dare anybody listening right now to go back to 2006 and find a band or anything that sounds similar to this whatsoever. Super unique right out the gate, and we learned a couple good, crucial things about Ronnie from this EP. He's got great vocal range, he's extremely lyrically clever, and he can sing to freaking anything. The guy can adapt musically to anything. The recording was amazing for something that came out in 2006, and my 2 favorite tracks on that EP ended up making it into the full-length version. Later that year, Escape the Fate releases their full-length album, and their only album with Ronnie Radke, Dying Is Your Latest Fashion. It's been a minute since I visited this album in its entirety, and all I can say is that it is extremely solid, still, to this day, a ton of storytelling, and just overall freaking good. Having songs like My Apocalypse, which is incredibly good storytelling, very lyrically clever, extremely good, just all around, and then also having songs like Situations, which is fun, and just a very different song, kind of shows already at this early age, early state of Ronnie and this band that they are extremely diverse. I literally forgot how good the bridge in Reverse This Curse was. And that final transition in Cellar Door to that last chorus, what is so freaking good. Ronnie Radke goes through a bunch of crap. 4 years later in 2010, Ronnie Radke returns with their new band Falling in Reverse. They released a single in 2010, 2011, they dropped their first studio-length album, The Drug in Me Is You. There was a lot more screaming and just overall heaviness in this than I remembered listening back in 2010. But I just remember thinking when these guys came out, like, nah, they're lame, dude. I just want to listen to 21 Pilots and heavy stuff like Oceano. Like, I don't have time for that emo stuff. What? It's strange. Listening to The Drug in Me Is You directly after listening to Dying Is Your Latest Fashion, it is weirdly similar. It almost feels like there's not a giant disconnect that you would imagine. Like, it doesn't feel like two separate bands. It doesn't feel like it was 4 years apart. It's bizarre. You should try it. They still seem to be pretty far ahead of the curve for 2010. Like, they're ahead of the game. Different though, they did happen to bring in more like breakdowns, electronic stuff, more chugging, so it's still different. And that line in Tragic Magic, you bring a picture of me when you get your haircut, that was the greatest line ever. Looking back, I don't think I wanted to accept the musical value that this album had back then. And for some reason, I knew almost all the lyrics for Good Girls, Bad Guys. Like, I don't know how. Huge bullet point right here for this album. The inability to predict anything that was coming at all, ever. And this tells me that they're not bound by any like musical formula. They don't need the verse, chorus, bridge, chorus to make stuff work. So they were incredibly diverse in this album. Every song was impossible to predict. There was something new, and I thought that just shows the ability and the diversity of these guys already. There was a couple times I was like, is it going to be a breakdown? Is it going to be a bass solo? Is it going to be a weird gospel part? Like, you just had no idea. Sink or Swim was heavier than I thought, and the last like minute of Goodbye Graceful was just so freaking epic. My only complaint is I didn't think their song Finisher, the last song on the album, was super heavy hitting, so I don't know what was up with that. I just didn't... Overall, like, I thought it was good. I thought the song was decent. I just didn't think it was like a super good way to just close out the album. That's just my opinion. Up next, we pretty much get, in 2013, Ronnie's crazy, like, rap stuff. Fairweather Fans, What Up Earth, Blacklist, I Wash Cars, and the entire Watch Me mixtape. I listened to the whole rap stuff in just one go. To be honest, I wasn't huge into the entire, like, rap phase. It wasn't just my favorite thing. I thought it was decent, but it wasn't my favorite. Musically and lyrically, Ronnie's still incredibly clever with the lyrics. He's got, a very good way of putting his thoughts on paper and putting those in a song, and he's got a very good way of adapting to music and having good flow with like every single part of a song, so, that's good. I think at this time, Ronnie just had so much stuff on his mind and just so much stuff that he just needed to kind of get out. And turning that into raps and lyrically, it was just easier for him to get it all out, of his mind. I thought a lot of it was really heavy. Not like heavy, but just like heavy-hearted. Like, a lot of it had some good pull, man. I was like, all right, I Wash Cars. Oh my gosh, it's a 7-minute diss track. Sweet. I thought it was really good. I thought it was fun, too, and I thought it was funny. All right, here's my big takeaway from the entire rap thing and the mixtape thing. The mixtape, almost every track had a feature on it from somebody that I knew and somebody that I really respect. I love features. Features are just so cool, and it's kind of proof that you gotta have like friends. I think that Ronnie, he's either like an okay human being and he's okay at burying the hatchet and having conversations, and he got all these people to jump on his rap mixtape as features. Like, that had to have taken some work, or he just paid for everybody, which I seriously doubt. 2013, the drop of Fashionably Late, or their second full-length album. So he incorporated rap in the very first track of the CD, which I thought was kind of ballsy because he hasn't done rap and Falling in Reverse yet. But here's my big takeaway is that they incorporated it in the first track, and guess what? It flowed nice. I didn't think that it stuck out like a sore thumb. I didn't think that it felt forced or anything, so it worked. So he put it in the first track, and it worked. This album, kind of like their last one, just had a ton of moving parts, and I thought that all the moving parts kind of helped and worked. So I thought they took a couple new steps in this album, and I thought it worked out well. So good job. Good album. I thought this album was, a step in the right direction. The breakdown in Born to Lead was intense. And I thought Self-Destruct Personality was the most diverse. I like that one a lot. Punk Goes Pop, Gangster Paradise. Not much to say here. It was a cover. I thought it was a decent cover. February 2015, the drop of their third full-length album, Just Like You. Since I listened to this directly after Fashionably Late, I noticed right away, like 3 songs in, I was like, I didn't hear any rap parts, which was kind of bizarre because there was quite a bit in Fashionably Late. Which made me think at the time, maybe that the rap stuff wasn't received super well, and you know, maybe they decided to change their sound because of that. I don't actually know. I just noticed that it was pretty absent. In hindsight, I thought it sounded pretty good. Maybe 2013, the world just wasn't ready for rap, you know what I mean? Which makes me also believe that it might have been just ahead of their time, I don't know. Just Like You was a ton of fun. The Guillotine 4 was metalcore AF. Way more screaming and just like overall heaviness than I expected. And I don't know if that was kind of intentional. Were they trying to bring back like the Dying Is Your Latest Fashion, Escape the Fate vibe? I'm not sure, but I thought that sounded more like Escape the Fate and Dying Is Your Latest Fashion than anything else that they've put out. And my favorite song from the rap mixtape was Brother, so I totally called it early on. And the overall just like feeling and lyrical feeling of that, it was definitely my favorite. Brother was definitely my favorite. I thought Prey kind of like just wrapped everything up, and it's making me just kind of see the evolution of Ronnie in a good way. Once again, album was decent. 2017, the drop of their next album, Coming Home. I don't know if it was the fact that I've been listening to, you know, Ronnie's voice for the last 5 hours straight, but I just could not like vibe with this album for some reason. By the third song in, I was just kind of over it already. It sounded like a completely new band, like they just kind of took a step in a weird direction. It wasn't quite as diverse as the rest of the albums. I don't know. Right Now was pretty fun. That was definitely my favorite song on the album, and Paparazzi was pretty good. Overall, the album sounded good from a musical standpoint. Like, it was recorded well, it was written well. It wasn't my thing, and after just listening to everything in a row, I kind of had a very high expectation, and this album just didn't, you know, follow suit. I don't know if that's just my opinion and thoughts. Like, did anyone else feel that way? February of 2018, Losing My Mind comes out. This, in my opinion, was a huge step in the right direction. They didn't go like full-blown chugs, breakdowns, and deathcore. They didn't go full-blown pop, new metal, you know, alternative stuff. They kind of, you know, took a step and just made it work. I have a feeling they put a ton of thought and work into this song for sure. We're nearing the end. June 2018, Losing My Life came out. This, in my opinion, was a massive leap in the right direction, and this is what hooked me into having this idea and to getting back in and asking the question like, dude, what's up with Falling in Reverse? They're like pretty good right now. It had the rapping, it had the catchy chorus, it gave us a little more insight and storytelling and vision into Ronnie's mind a little bit. It was still lyrically clever, and I think that Ronnie got to let a little bit loose in that one verse, which I thought was, you know, very classic and very, very good of him and cool. That was a good hook for this song. April 2019, Drugs drops. Okay, so at this point, I'm like, dude, you know, Falling in Reverse, they're good. I liked that last song of theirs, whatever. But now I give Drugs a shot, and dude, rapping verse, thought it was good. Pretty dang good chorus, like good flow, very catchy, pretty good. You know, a little bit heavier hitting verse 2, and then the most mind-blowing surprise feature that I've had in so long. Corey Taylor comes out of nowhere, and he does a feature, an all-screaming feature. Like, this is the Corey Taylor I've wanted for so long, and I get it in a Falling in Reverse song. My mind was just on the floor at this point. It was sweet. Later that year, November 2019, Popular Monster drops. Again, this is just proof, this track is proof that these guys are bound by no musical formula whatsoever. They put a lot of thought into these songs and they make them work, and by putting a lot of moving pieces together. There is a lot going on, and I can't even imagine the writing process for a song like this. The music videos for the last couple singles, they're starting to become really good, kind of build more lore and story. I like that a lot. So judging by the reactions that I've seen on Popular Monster, which I'm an idiot for not jumping on that train, was the reaction, and everybody seems to lose their mind like at the end of the song, you know, like, oh, the visuals and the breakdown, like it's just so crazy. You know, and like it was good and it kind of caught me off guard, but for real, what got me and hooked me on this song was the second half of verse 2. When Ronnie drops the every single effing day I get closer to the grave, my mind exploded, and I thought that that came straight out of Dying Is Your Latest Fashion. It wrote me right back, and I was like, that was one of the best hooks, and he just, once again, changes the tempo, makes it angry, makes it fun, brings in like that own personal Ronnie Radke song and feel. Up next was Dying Is Your Latest Fashion Reimagined. I thought that this was a good track. Honestly, my favorite part about this track was that dude's reaction, that he didn't understand like that it was a reimagined or like the same song. He's like, this song sounds familiar. So, and Ronnie roasted him. So I thought that that was like the best part of the song. I thought it sounded good. I thought it was well produced. Once again, it just shows their ability as musicians to be able to adapt and change their own stuff and kind of just have no bounds with music. So I thought it was good. Carry On, I actually reacted to that, so just go check out my reaction to that video if you want my opinion on it. Overall, man, I felt like I needed to just give this band a try and listen to their entire discography and really see kind of where they are and where they came from in order to get to the awesome singles that they recently released. And honestly, I'm super glad that I did it. It was an absolutely brutal and grueling 6 hours. By the end, I was like, dude, I'm freaking over it. That last full-length album of theirs, that was rough for me, all right? Ronnie is just stupid talented, and the guy has come such a long ways, man. He's one of those guys who will always be hated in the music community. I think people just fear what they don't know, and they're afraid of the unknown. And Ronnie brings a lot of that in his music, the way he does things, and just people keep holding on to his past, and they kind of just need to move forward, I think. For real though, let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you thought of this style video. Please don't ask me to like do this for a bunch of other bands. Like, I don't know if I could do it. But if you ask me to listen to another band's entire discography in the comments, I'll probably end up doing it. Anyways, man, if you guys are new to the channel, thank you so much for dropping in today. Seriously, it means the world to me. Maybe Ronnie Radke will check this out and he'll know that just one random dude appreciates his music and sat down for 6 hours to listen to him. Probably not, but dude, if you do, your music's good. I am incredibly impressed with where you've come and all the stuff that you've achieved. It's pretty impressive. But anyways, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. Thank you guys again. We'll catch you guys on the next video.